Hello and welcome to my channel, Emma's Life in Norfolk. So today we're going to be showing you some of the work that has been done where the hot tub normally sits. So this is where we have wanted to tile this area for this is the second summer. So it was organised with a person last year, but time went on and it was never done. Then we got a quote this year from the person, but it was the person that let me down a bit with another job. And then my husband said, well, he laid all the patio, so he said that he would have a go at doing this. So I'll show you how far we've got with that. And then also I continue on with the fig tree. So I showed you in the last video that me potting the little fig tree. And in this video, you'll see now that I've got the top cut out and the top of the barrel, which my mum's partner did with the jigsaw, did a fantastic job. And you'll see how I take the fig tree out of the plastic container it was in and put it into the barrel. I might need to cut the top of it off, but I'm going to let it kind of just settle as it is in the barrel before I start trimming it and add any more trauma, because it can be quite difficult for a plant when a tree or a plant is taken out of the pot. So you can see at this early stage of the video, me and my husband are looking at the tiles, we're looking at the area, looking at what we need to do. We've tidied up this area. There was lots of things stored here, some of which are in the kind of front part of the video. There was the foam, the sort of the base of what the hot tub goes on, which is like a foam sort of liner. Over time, weeds had grown in some of the little cracks and areas that just generally needed to be tidied up, swept, and the floor prepared. Now, my husband thought originally, because we'd already got a concrete base, because we used to have our very old shed used to sit on the concrete base. It was a wooden shed with a concrete base probably put up in around the 30s. So originally it looked quite smooth. So my husband started preparing like the base. And then when you'll see a bit where we lined up the tiles. Well, he lined the tiles up and I was just looking. And the important thing is to think about where the keystone is and think about where your eye is drawn to. Because sometimes the keystone might be somewhere where actually is not really relevant. So for example, if it was a kitchen floor, you might have that in the middle and then work out from there. But we know the middle of this area is going to be under the hot tubs. There's no point at looking really lovely and neat in the middle. So you need to think your eye is drawn to each of the edges. So the one edge, which is by the fig tree, and the other edge, which is just by the hedge here. So after we cleaned it all out and lined up the tiles, my husband then realised that actually it looked like that it really wasn't as level as what it needed to be. And that was going to mean that he was going to have to use so much, tile adhesive and grout. So that would just mean that there'd be a risk that might break up when in cold weather. So he then ordered a self-levelling kind of compound, which he's done. I'm very impressed with everything he's done. He's done such a good job and read up all about this and looked on YouTube to find out information as to what was needed. And then once the levelling compound then dried, you can then start putting the tiles on. So you'll see today, when you see me cutting the hedge, you will see he's done 2 rows of tiles. And so far, they do look really, really good. And you can see here, just on the edge, look where I've got the dustbin and brush. This is just an outside dustbin and brush. Although I should say it's my favourite dustbin and brush. All the other ones are plastic, but this one was metal. You can see where there's sort of like leaves and soil and plants that were growing. So while you're just watching that little bit, I'm going to go through a few of your comments. So this is only a small channel, but thank you very much for those of you that have added comments on my channel. So it's very, very interesting, the things that you've added. Now, I really had a very interesting comment that I just wanted to share with you from Bernadette Smart. And she added this just yesterday. And it's something that I'm very interested in as well. And Bernadette says, "Hi Emma, I've been watching you for some time now, and I think you are doing amazingly well." Oh, thank you. "Emma, I have a question for you. I promise I'm not mad. We have been coming down to Caister-on-Sea for about 15 years now. Now, Caister-on-Sea It's a beautiful part of the world. I recommend that you have a look at Google Images and see how lovely it is if you haven't been. We came down a few weeks ago and we were on a big roundabout about 20 miles away. We stopped at the lights and to our absolute astonishment, we saw a big cat crossing from one field across a country road to another field. I couldn't get my phone out before it had disappeared. It was definitely a cat and not a large dog. It was not a house cat or a wild cat. Have you heard of anything like this before? Thank you. Now, if you had been able to get your phone out, what I would say is on the phone, it does not look anything as big as what it actually did to your and your husband's eyes. So I did reply and say, initially, I would have said, is it shark? If you Google about shark, you can find out more information about shark. But shark is a big black dog. And there's been reports of old shark across Norfolk and Suffolk. But you said it was definitely a cat. Now, there have been reports of large black cats being seen in the area which you're talking about. So, yes. And again, if you look online, you'll see that other people have reported the same thing. They're far bigger than pet cats. Far bigger than, like almost like a small sort of puma. And I did say to Bernadette, congratulations for seeing it. There are pictures where people have taken photographs of them. But as I said, they don't do justice. It's always the same, isn't it? That when you take a photograph of something, it looks much, much smaller on the camera than to your eyes. Sandy says, I enjoyed your video. Your garden is beautifully green. Thank you. And My Rusty Garden says, happy belated birthday, Emma. Backyard is looking amazing and nice fig tree. I don't grow a lot of fruit as the squirrels wreak havoc on them. Great work, guys. Ali. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Sandy. Nan Holmes said, I wish we had hedgehogs here in North Carolina. My granddaughter had one as a pet and I loved it. Oh. Dawn Duke says, I loved your video. I really need to start thinking about what seeds to plant now as spring isn't too far away. Isn't it exciting how different parts of the world with different seasons and you're in winter and now thinking about spring? I haven't had a lot of success lately with my seeds, but I'm not giving up. We had some really strong winds and my beautiful large umbrella snapped off. Oh. But I'm going to get another one as I love them. Your garden is looking beautiful and green. Looking forward to your next video. Bye for now. Dawn from Perth, Australia. Thank you very much, Dawn. That's a lovely comment. Donna Sampson says, I love your garden. I just bought a lovely David Austin rose in the sick bay. It was nearly £30 and I got it for £7.50. Well done, Donna. That is a bargain. What sort did you get? What colour was it? So you can see just there in the video how my husband's laid out the tiles and how nice it looks. It's gonna really be nice when he's finished it. He's doing such a good job, and he needs to cut the tiles around that post, which is going to be tricky, I think. He asks me questions and he gets me out. I was in the kitchen at this point when he asked me for my opinion. But then, to be honest, he's just sort of just needs to sense check things. He knows the answer. I just give my opinion. And then this is then the next day. So the barrel was then cut, and so you'll see me putting the bark chippings right at the bottom. And then I put some of the soil in the top, which was a John Innes soil that they recommended, like I did the other fig tree. And then I got a free big, massive, great container of soil, and then my mum got one as well. And she thinks that she filled a survey or some sort of questionnaire in and got it. I don't remember filling a questionnaire or a survey in, but I've got one as well. So I was quite pleased about that. Nearly managed to hit my husband with the top of the tree. I forget how tall it is because the pot is so small for the size of it now. But of course, fig trees do like to be in small pots, don't they? So I tried to, because the thing is very brittle. The pot is very brittle. So my husband came out with a hammer and said, oh, just use a hammer. And the hammer did nothing. So I did have to use a saw. And I peeled the bits of plastic off. And then me and my husband then lifted it into the barrel. And then I put soil around it. But to be honest, at this point, it was very, very close. So first thing this morning, when we did the car boot sale, first thing this morning, it was quite cool. I had a t-shirt and a jumper on, and so did my daughter. And as I stood there at the car boot sale, I was thinking, cool, it's lovely and dry, but I feel like I need a jacket or a coat. I was quite cold at one point. And then after lunch, the sun got out, but it was behind quite thick cloud. So it's very, very muggy. I said to my husband, I'm sure there's going to be a storm, but there wasn't any storm. Well, there hasn't been yet, but we'll see. So you can see I was kind of moving it round, sawing it a little bit and pulling the plastic off and putting the plastic in the recycling bin. I felt exhausted, sort of from the heat and sort of the sheer challenge of it all, really. But you can see I get most of the plastic off, and then in a minute I asked my husband if he can help sort of put it into the barrel. And then because it leans over, I wanted to ensure that we did it at an angle, so it was straight. That was the most important thing for me. So it was up straight. I didn't want it tipped over to one side. The funny thing was, though, it'd only been in a matter of minutes and there was a wasp on it. So that's the only thing with putting it near the hot tub. I don't really want to be sitting in the hot tub and have loads of wasps flying around me, but wasps do like fig trees, don't they? But I guess I could always try to move it again, which is going to be a bit of a challenge, but I could move it. Someone did suggest about putting wheels under it. Yes, that's a good idea, but the thought of finding a platform with wheels that would be strong enough to take the weight of this barrel, the barrel by itself is so heavy, and the soil, I thought if I hunt around for that, that might be another year before I actually get it repotted. And what I could do is I could put a little hanger thing to deter wasps. You can get those things that smell a certain way, can't you? So that's what I wondered. And you can see as I put a whole bag of soil in, how the soil just disappears. So I also put a little bit more bark in. We probably ended up with a bit too much bark, really. But I get another container of bark and fill in the top. And I think it's funny with the proportions now watching this back. The barrel looks really small. It really does, but it's a significant size, but it does look quite small on the video. And then I managed to get some bark on the area that my husband and me had all brushed, so I needed to change that. And then in a minute you'll see I watered them, and I went into a panic because the water started going into the area that he was working, and I was really, really worried that was going to cause problems. So I jump around with cardboard trying to mop it all up. But he said, don't worry, I'm not going to get to that bit today, so it doesn't really matter. Right, next comment is from Davin. I'm just trying to think. Davin A. Dainton. I'm sorry if that's wrong, but it's Davina. Davina Dainton, I think. Hi, Emma. I love the video regarding your fig trees. I had one for many, many years in a half barrel. I got fed up of it and gave it away. I really regretted that. So recently bought another one about the same size of your new one. Oh, that's nice. My mum has had one in a container for many years and trains her up a wall. It looks great. As for your vine against the wall, I have espalier apple trees against mine and asked many nursery people if that would be okay, and the answer was yes. All depends on the rootstock, I believe. Many people have wisteria growing on their house wall, and this has to be the biggest of vines, so I'm like you, I'm not worried at all. The circus looked great, and I'm hoping it's there every year as we would travel the long distance just to take my eldest son. Take care, lovely. Best wishes, Davina. Davina, could you remind me of where you are based again? So the circus is... So February they have the pirates. So the whole of the show is all around a pirate theme. Then the summer is Summer Spectacular. Then they have Halloween Spooktacular. And then they have the Christmas and New Year Spectacular. Now, we've been to all of them apart from Pirates, and they are all fantastic shows. I think the first one we ever went to was the Spooktacular one at Halloween, and I remember calling up and speaking to them about how appropriate age-wise it would be, because I didn't want my daughter to be scared. But it's really funny, lots of different acts, and lots of things that will have you sitting like on the edge of your seat. Obviously, there's no animals anymore. There would have been animals there. But it's really, really good show, and it's presented by the person who owns it and one other person. And you can also go in the old museum, but it's the only purpose-built building left in the United Kingdom. And I think there's only 2 in the whole of Europe that have got the water floor. So it's that the floor is lowered, and it's full of water, which is used, I think it's used in the Summer Spectacular. It's also used the Christmas one. I'm not sure about the Pirates. I'm guessing it's also used for the Pirates one. But it's a great show for all the family. Really, really good. So after I did the fig tree, I then decided to tackle my little hedge, which has gone crazy. So this little hedge has been here for decades. It's got a little bit shorter than what it used to be. It used to be further out before we had the patio. But you can see I'm going over it with my little handheld cutter, which my sister got me. Now, I need to speak to my husband about charging this, because it's not been charged for ages. And yet I've got it out. So every time I get it out, it's working. So I guess at some point I do need to charge it. But at the moment, it's doing really, really well. So I really like it because it's very lightweight, whereas the other one we have is a petrol one, and I cannot even lift it off the floor. And it's a bit over the top for this little hedge. But this, next time I see my sister, I need to tell her how I love this little one. Sometimes it gets caught on branches that are slightly thicker, but really it cuts through it like a knife on butter. Butter that hasn't been in the fridge. So we're going to go along all the way along the side, and then I do the front, and then I wait for a bit to do the other side, because I didn't want to end up with privet all in the area where my husband was working. But you know, it made a good improvement there, didn't it? The hedge has got bigger and bigger, so I do feel like I need to cut it back a bit harder, really. But I'm pleased with how it's looking, and it tidies up very quickly. And looks nice. It makes a big difference to the garden when it's done. But I hope you can see both things going on at the same time. So I'm getting all the hedge done. You can see my husband's now on the 2nd row of the tiling. So he's hoping to get this done in the next couple of days. But there's Bank Holiday Monday coming up. So I did say to him about it'd be quite nice for us all to do something as a family. So for him not to be too hard on himself, trying to get it all done. And he does, of course, have to be very careful with his back. I was speaking to a friend, and you know, her sister had got a problem with her back, and she went to the physio, and whatever the physio did with the gaps, you know, the discs, it's like that caused the disc to cause nerve damage. Absolutely horrendous. You have to be so careful, don't you? So the bit that I enjoy with cutting the hedge is cutting the hedge. The bit I don't like to do is tidying up all the leaves. I used to sometimes put a cloth down, and then you could just carefully pick the cloth up and put it all in the brown bin. But then it sort of, this time, it fell on those foam sheets. So I used some of those. I just really don't like clearing it up. I'd be quite happy just to go around cutting all the hedges and just leave all the bits everywhere, because the grass needs cutting. And so because the grass needs cutting, the lawnmower will pick a lot of this up. And actually, me talking about this now has reminded me that in a minute you'll see me cut my other hedge, and I didn't clear that up. So I didn't clear up everything outside that I needed to. So we managed to get quite a lot done. And as I said, the tiling has made really good progress. So that's really pleasing. So next message, Rainy Milliman. Hello Rainy, how are you? Rainy says, hey Emma, goodness, what a battle with the barrel. Here in the States, well in Minnesota anyway, people cut the barrel in half and plant both halves with flowers. Yes, they do that here as well. They look really nice, especially when they are full of bright red geraniums. Yes, I did direct sow my marigold seeds and many of them have grown, but no blooms as of yet. Oh, fingers crossed. Maybe I won't get any blooms. Who knows? I think you probably will. I also planted alyssum. I never know how to pronounce that, but it never grew. So there you go. That's like everybody though, Rainy. Some people have success with seeds, sometimes you don't. And people sometimes make out they're so green fingered, they just don't tell you about all the ones that don't grow. We have so many weeds gone out of control and many of them flower. I was feeling really bad about it, but then my husband said there had been a ton of bees enjoying the flowers. Yeah, it's exactly what I thought. So I got over it really quick. And weeds can be lots of different colours anyway. My view is, if it's in a place that you don't want it, then anything could be a weed. But just because it's a weed doesn't mean to say that you need to pull it up. I've left dandelions in some places in my garden because I wanted them there. So therefore I haven't treated them as weeds. I have so much to do, but my back has not appreciated all of the bending. See, what did I just say about people's backs? Yeah, you've got to be careful. I'm pulling on weeds with roots that go into the netherworld. It's been a very prolific year for most things. I'm hoping to add some dirt to a different area that is out of control and do my best to get rid of as many weeds as possible, and then sow native to Minnesota wildflowers and hopefully keep the weeds at bay and bring more bees. According to the package of seeds, I can do this in the fall, so we shall see what happens. Have a great weekend. Oh, that's really interesting. Well, I hope the marigolds flower, so please keep us updated. Okay, so I'm now getting towards the end of my video, and there's a few things that I wanted to show you. So firstly, I'll show you some pictures of my greenhouse where I was so excited that there was not just one newt under a pot. There were 2 newts under a pot. Now, if I've got 2 newts, who knows? That could be male and female. They might have babies in my greenhouse. That's so exciting. So I dropped everything and went and found my daughter. My husband was in the middle of doing dinner and just doing chicken and all sorts, but I did a video so he could see. And of course, they don't move much at all. But you can see that at one point they move and they blink. And then one moves away because I kept very still, and then the other followed it. I was so excited. So I just need to ensure that I keep the greenhouse at similar sort of, I don't know, temperature and moisture levels so they stay in here. Then I wanted to show a little clip of the plane and my husband and daughter. Going on this plane. So it's only a small plane, left Norwich Airport. And now what happened was we bid on a raffle. All the money was going to Natasha's Allergy Research Foundation, and we were successful with the bid that we put in. So they were also very generous because first of all my husband went up, and then my daughter went up, and she absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I'll show you a few little clips from that. A little video there of takeoff, little video of when it was up in the air, and afterwards my mum said to my daughter, oh, what did you think? Do you like the little aeroplane best, or do you like holiday aeroplanes best? And she said, oh, I think I like the little. They're completely different, but I think I like the little aeroplane best. I wasn't quite sure about her going up in it, if I'm honest, because the prize, the auction prize, was for my husband, and then the company said, would your daughter like to come up as well? And I kind of kept quiet, and she was very keen to, and my husband was very keen for her too. So I stood and watched it go up into the air and then descends, really smooth landing. So they both loved it. They had a lovely time. And then after that, I show a couple of clips of days out around Norfolk. So you'll see our beautiful castle. So this is in Norwich, which is the capital of Norfolk. Now, for those of you in the United Kingdom, I strongly recommend that you look up the series, which is all about the history and what they've done with Norwich Castle. So it's been a 7-year project, and they've kind of taken it all back to how it would have been in Norman times. And what they've created and what they've done is they've really put it on the international stage in terms of wonders for people to visit. Certainly it's going to be one of the kind of top attractions for the United Kingdom. So please have a little look and then come and visit. And then I do a couple of clips of North Walsham, a really pretty little market town. Really, really nice. We pop into a little newsagent's, which is really exactly as it was in the 1950s. So you can see there in the video a little craft shop that we went in. It's a nice little shop there. And then you can see a map of the towns. We stopped and looked, and we went in the church as well, which was nice. And then this lovely little newsagent, and I went in, I was looking for licorice for my husband. He likes licorice. And then I saw that they were selling coconut mushrooms. So I bought him some coconut mushrooms back. So you can see here is the entrance of the little shop. And then as you go in, all sweets all laid out as you would have expected, well, for the last however many decades. I asked for a quarter of sweets, which now a lot of places only do it by grams. He's got the original scales for weighing out tobacco. And I had a little chat with him about the shop. And then we walked up the high street, lots of nice little shops to look around. So we had a nice little wander. And then we went into the church, and they've restored some of the figures at the front of the church because they would have been destroyed during Henry VIII's reign. But they've been repaired, and there's some really, really very old artefacts here which somehow managed to escape damage, which is super. My dad was looking through because we went out with my dad when we went to North Walsham. He was looking through the hymn books and singing some hymns. We didn't originally realise that one of the vicars was sitting at the back. And then when my dad walked past, he said, "Oh, lovely singing." So we had a little laugh about that. We went into a shop and got a couple of bits from a shop called QD, which stands for quality discounts. They always have a few bargains. And then we looked around the bandstand, which had our lovely United Kingdom flags all decorating the bandstand. And then I also show you a little church that's in Acle. Now, Acle is a small town not that far from Great Yarmouth, but we had a little look at their very old font from around about 1200s, so very old. And there was a picture on the wall in terms of some very, very old writing and kind of verses to do with the Black Death and the plague, which was really interesting. And then I show you Reedham Ferry. So we decided to pop in to my in-laws. That was when my husband had got a little bit of time off work, because he does a shorter day generally on Friday. And when you're on Reedham Ferry, it feels like it's quite spacious. But as I stood taking a video of it, it really didn't. So it costs £3.50 for a car one way, I think. If you're if you're just pedestrian, I think it's about 50p. If you're a pedestrian and a bike, it's £1.50, which makes me smile. And then I did a little video of me standing on Reedham Ferry as it crossed. And that leads me to the end of my video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it interesting to see how far I've got and the different things in Norfolk. And I hope you'll watch my next video. Bye bye.